This is America's oldest soccer tournament. Built in small towns with big dreams. From local grounds to the biggest stages, part-timers and major leaguers chase the same thing. A cup that doesn't care about your club's payroll, what the pundits say. A cup that invites the chaos and carries a legacy. Under the lights, between the lines, it's one match at a time. To cement your name in history. This is the 111th edition of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup.
Greetings, everybody, and a warm welcome to you from Lynn Family Stadium in Louisville, Kentucky, as our coverage continues of round one of the 111th Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup, as Louisville City, out of the USL Championship, take on amateur side Southern Indiana FC. Alongside the two-time FA Cup winner with Manchester United, Gary Bailey, and our entire crew, I'm Sean St. Jacques, happy to have you with us for an intriguing fixture today to keep round one moving in the right direction in the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. It is a first-time meeting between these two clubs, obviously very different standards in different areas where they are as far as their standards in their standing. We look at the establishment for Louisville 2014, but of course the big news here is that Simon Bird is now the interim head coach of Louisville after Danny Cruz moves on to Minnesota United to take on an assistant coaching job.
Well, good luck to Simon Bird. It's very, very difficult shoes to fill, isn't it? Danny Cruz, probably the most successful of all USL coaches, but what a squad Simon Bird has to actually pick from.
Louisville are back-to-back Players' Shield winners in the USL Championship, and as you might expect, they are heavy favorites to advance despite the coaching change that just happened earlier this week with Louisville City. On the other side of things, for Southern Indiana, they did compete in the Open Cup last time around. They lost to Lexington, but Josh Dickman brings them back into the Open Cup again. This club was established just a few years ago. It's still a relatively new club, and it's actually the closest club in proximity that Lou City's ever played. They're just 10 miles down the road, just over the Ohio River in Indiana.
Well, they might be close in distance, but they're far apart in terms of professionalism, of course. Southern Indiana, a part-time club, and players coming from college, wherever they can get them from. Lou City, a fully professional team, and currently the champions, if you look at the standings last year, the champions of the USL.
So we will see how this one unfolds. Again, a first ever meeting between these two, but Louisville in the Open Cup have 4 wins out of 4 against amateur sides in the club's history. Southern Indiana will hope to change that. We'll have lineups and the kickoff from Kentucky when we come back.
Inside, Rodman to the far corner. It's a special goal from Trinity Rodman. Macario goes to tip the keeper. It's sublime. Lamar from distance. Across goal, Balogun! The way opens up for Alex Rodman cuts inside, Rodman to the far corner. It's a special goal from Trinity Rodman. Macario goes to tip the keeper. It's sublime. Lamar from distance. It's inside. Rodman to the far corner. It's a special goal from Trinity Rodman. Macario goes to tip the keeper. It's sublime. Lamar from distance.
Sean St. Jacques, Gary Bailey here with you, moments away from kickoff, round one of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. It's Louisville City, it's Southern Indiana. And we're going to jump right in to the action here. Lynn Family Stadium in Louisville, Kentucky. Sean St. Jacques, Gary Bailey, our entire crew, happy to have you with us. First game in charge for interim head coach Simon Bird against an amateur side in Southern Indiana, making their second foray into the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup after being defeated by Lexington last time around. Josh Dickman brings a strong squad with him today, hoping to maybe pull off an upset, but of course Louisville have such pedigree, not just in the USL Championship, but in the Open Cup as well, and they've never lost to an amateur side in the club's history. Louisville are in all purple. There's certainly some interesting things to watch from their perspective. Obviously, Simon Bird picks his first team in charge. There's certainly some notable changes.
There is club debut for Hugo Farreau in goals. They've been looking forward to getting him in to replace Damian Luss.
Overhead kick there from Ray Serrano, flies out of play.
And then midfielder Carlos Mogel trying out as a centre-back. Sam Gleadle, he's playing as a left wing-back, normally a striker. They've got 17-year-old Brandon Days with his third consecutive start this season, so he's becoming a regular in defence. And a first start for Babacar Niang in what is the classic Lou City 3-4-3 shape. Some big names on the bench if needed, if things don't go their way. Chris Donovan and Jansen Wilson, just to mention two of them.
And then Josh Dickman for Southern Indiana. He did tell us he had a few tough decisions to make as to who he wanted to play in this game, whether it was a goalkeeping decision, and then of course in the midfield, there was a couple of things he needed to wait on to decide what to do there. Certainly they have an intriguing side that hopes to pull off what would be a pretty monumental cup set today if they were to prevail.
Oh, it would be monumental. So difficult for the amateur or part-time teams to come and play against quality USL opposition in a team. As we know, Lou City, who broke all sorts of records last season. So yeah, it's tough. I think most of these teams just want to put on a good show. They know the chances of winning. In fact, Coach Josh Dickman said 9 times out of 10 we're going to get absolutely hammered, but he said there's 1 in 10 where we put up a good fight. He's hoping it's one of those days today.
One of the things he told us to look out for, so we'll tell you to look out for it as well, is the midfield. The McLeod brothers, Elias, Jed, and Bowen, they link up really well together, so we'll see if that plays out in a positive way for Southern Indiana. And the likes of Alan Bezosa and Dylan Kurtz, who goes by Bay, so we'll call him Bay Kurtz, leading the attacking line for the boys in white with the light blue trim. And of course, as always, for those just joining us, Lou City are in their purples from head to toe.
Yep, they picked a young goalkeeper, Josh Dickman, 19 years of age. Ethan Drew, he eventually decided on. He did have also Keno Ridgel. He said one of these two is going to be picked. Well, Ethan Drew has got the nod. And then their captain, Haji Abdikadir, is one of the few players who's actually played pro, so a decent player back in his day. But other than that, as Josh Dickman himself said, it's a big ask to get a result, but they're just going to put out their best foot and see if they can improve on last year's result. They went out to a rather large beating. They're trying to keep that down to a much closer game here today.
Yeah, to your point, Lexington did knock out Southern Indiana by a 5-0 scoreline in the Open Cup last year. Josh Dickman did say that experience helps them a bit coming into tonight's fixture. Having gone through this process before. And Louisville, putting some pressure on the amateurs here, will win yet another corner in the opening minutes of the match.
What we have seen last night in particular with the professional team set pieces proving to be very important for Rhode Island. Little near post flick on from Bacharach to get their second goal. And they'll be looking to do the same here, Lou City. Good service in, good runs from their players into dangerous positions.
Played short for Serrano. Tried to catch Southern Indiana out. They do clear their lines, force Louisville back into their own half with Hugo Farou. Does make a club debut for Louisville today. And he's coming off an injury from last season as well. Of course, has been an expert shot stopper in the USL Championship over the last few years, most notably, of course, with Loudon. Manny Perez stands this up to the back stick. It's nudged down. Could be a chance to shoot. Oh, it wasn't far away. A vicious strike from Zach Duncan that weaves wide of the post.
Good pressure from the home side there, just probing down that right wing. Manny Perez puts the ball in there, gets knocked back in, gets recycled a little bit, and Zach Duncan comes in here, hits it really well. It just, I think it even clips the outside of the post. Ethan Drew throwing his body across the goal to try and cover that left-hand side of his goal.
Zach Duncan, the Aussie, last league goal he scored was actually for Memphis 901 back in 2024. Has never scored in the Open Cup. Wasn't far away from doing so there.
Terrible season last season, played 4 games, and then horrible injury took him out for the entire season. And former coach Danny Cruz telling us only a couple of weeks ago that it brought a tear to his eye to see him come back, because it was such a huge blow for Zach, that terrible injury from last year.
And of course, we talked with interim coach Simon Bird when he was still just an assistant coach officially earlier this week. And then obviously the news of Danny Cruz leaving Louisville and going now, as we know, to Minnesota United to be an assistant coach there. Louisville, as you'd anticipate, handled it incredibly professionally in the media with their press releases. They wished Danny all the best. I mean, what a job Danny Cruz did as Louisville City head coach. You could argue he's one of, if not the best coaches the USL Championship has ever seen, and leaves on the back of 2 Players' Shield wins in a row. Got Lou City to a playoff final back in 2022 when they lost to San Antonio. And besides putting another star above the crest, he did everything Louisville could have asked of him.
Certainly will be remembered as one of the best. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Tough to follow from Simon Bird's point of view, but he has an incredible squad that has been put together by Danny and by him as part of the coaching gang. So he knows the players, he knows why they've been brought in. He's probably been out to scout a lot of them, but now he has to put his stamp on the team and ensure they keep playing to the incredibly high standards that they've set for themselves over the past few years.
Simon Bird, who is originally from Lincoln City in England, but played collegiately in the early 2000s at the University of Louisville. And has really been ingrained in the Louisville community ever since. That's going back over 2 decades now. And obviously has been with Lou City for quite a while as an assistant coach. And as you said, Gary, has helped to put this incredible group of players together and coach them up. And he said to the media in the lead up to this game that he has been dreaming of this kind of an opportunity to be a head coach. And he gets his first real chance at it tonight. Manny Perez tried to put his defender on skates there, but Sidi Mohammed does well at the expense of the ball going out of play and staying with Louisville via a throw. Perez on the turn, sees it cleared up field. And retrieved by Kyle Adams. Kyle Adams is really the only mainstay in this backline setup, I guess, with Manny Perez as a wingback. Mogel be interesting to watch. Sam Gleadle as a wingback. How is that going to look? Of course, normally as a striker. And then the youngster, Brandon Days, just 17 years old, but he's getting more and more playing time.
His 3rd consecutive start, Brandon Days, and just chatting to Simon Bird, he said, well, a year ago at 16, he was marking top players and marking them well. So I've seen him do 1 or 2 things against Lexington in the opening match. One of his touches, he just accelerated between 2 attackers, and I'm looking at him going, wow, You can do that at 17. You're something special. And Danny Cruz has said to us many, many times that he believes Brandon Days could go on to play at a much, much higher level. That's how good this young kid is.
A little coming together there. Referee eventually does bring it back. It's a free kick. Salvador Flores is our head official. They're in red and black. Days to Perez. First time ball played down this near side for Quincy Hewerman. And Hewerman from his backside wins Louisville a corner.
It was clever by Quincy Hewerman there, because it looked like he had lost the ball and still manages to get a corner from that. And as we've said before, these set pieces tend to give the part-timers and the amateurs a lot of problems, because it's something you do practice a lot as a professional side these days.
And it's taken short for Serrano. Into the middle, it's nicked to the outskirts of the area. Southern Indiana do close it down well on the edge of their own 18-yard box. It's still with Lou City. Serrano again on the near side. Whips the ball into the middle. Another critical header away defensively from the visitors.
Well, that was a quality ball put in from Ray Serrano there. I think it was Tyler Shawamni who nearly got his head on that, but the whip and the pace that ball came in.
Serrano tries again. There's two queuing up. Far side edge of the 18-yard box here. It's clipped back into the middle once more, and again Southern Indiana doing what they need to do to clear their lines, just about, but it's not definitively dealt with yet. Another cross into the middle, another clearance away. Days recovers it for Perez. Days down the line. Duncan into the middle. Yet another Louisville corner as the pressure mounts on the amateurs.
Konate just knocking that one out. If they keep giving away these set pieces, you do fancy that one of them is going to end up with a chance on goal.
Louisville try the same corner routine. Serrano's ball in, and just over the top. And Southern Indiana really hoof it forward this time into the Louisville half.
Trying to get a breather, I think, Southern Indiana. But interesting, when we chatted to Josh Dickman, the coach of Southern Indiana, he said, look, we're not going to park the bus, but we are going to have to defend in numbers. And he said, if we can just do that for a while, take the sting out the game, keep it at 0-0, then slowly we can start to come in and look at more counter-attacks. But he said, to start with, we know that we're going to have to defend, and that's pretty much the way it's going.
Edge of the area, oh! That shot was rising. In the end, it's out for a goal kick, and Southern Indiana didn't quite close the situation down.
Deep ball gets headed and jumps onto it really well here and thumps it. That's not far over the bar. That really is a good strike. Maybe just a yard over at the end.
Like it was Carlos Mogul Jr. getting on the end of that and having a go. Well, let's see how Louisville's makeshift defense, if you will, looks here with Southern Indiana trying to get on the front foot. It's thrown in towards Bezosa. There's Konate. And Konate's ball is over the top and out of play. Josh Dickman told us that Haji Abdelkadir and Sako Konate will be a very formidable duo as far as his center backs are concerned. Konate says is around 6'3", 6'4". And he steps right in there defensively to help out, but he's dispossessed. Quincy Hewerman for Louisville. Konate brings him down. Louisville looking for a foul here. Play continues. It was nearly slithered through for Shawunmi before it's cleared away.
Again, good pressure from Lou City on the edge of the box. Very quick to win the ball back and try and create a shooting opportunity. And this pressure just building and building. And you do sense that eventually something will give way. But so far, Southern Indiana doing what they set out to do, defend and keep a clean sheet.
Days. And then Hewerman tried to lay it off for Niang. It's won back by Southern Indiana. Oriwal onto this near side for Muhammad. And Sidi Muhammad is stood up. It's going to be a Louisville throw. Josh Dickman told us about Sidi Muhammad. He can outrun almost anybody. He's got as good a pace as he's ever seen and ever coached. See if he gets a chance to really get after it as this game continues on. Right now it's the defensive duties for Southern Indiana that are a bit under scrutiny here, but the referee says it was defended well enough by Konate, and it is a goal kick.
Big, strong guy, isn't he, Konate? And he was just holding off Manny Perez there, and Perez couldn't really get around him. But just to finish that comment on Sidi Muhammad, Josh Dickman being very open in many ways. He said, yeah, he's very quick, but he does need to finish better. So I guess, to be fair, if he was quick and finished well, then he would be a professional. So all these players at Southern Indiana, they have the skill. They're just maybe lacking the opportunity, maybe they're not fully fit. There's just something that stops them from being able to sign as a professional, but certainly the talent is there, you would think.
We have to credit Josh Dickman. He was incredibly candid about pretty much all of his players with his assessments.
What did he say about Saladi Husseini, the number 3? He said he's lost 37 pounds specifically for this game.
Called him sneaky good, I believe was the other quote.
Yeah. But it's a massive day for Southern Indiana, as it was last year, I'm sure. A chance to be seen on TV, of course, but to come up against quality USL players in Lou City, and they would have been hoping and looking forward to this game and hoping it would go really well, and as we say, so far so good.
17 minutes gone. Louisville have had some half chances. Maybe the closest was Duncan's attempt, but just skimmed the outside of the right upright. Kyle Adams scored a couple of wonder strikes in the Open Cup over the years. This is dinked into the middle again, looking for Serrano. It's touched away. Now can Southern Indiana really turn this into something in possession up the other end? They just kind of dink it into the Louisville half, and of course, boys in purple have it well covered. There is Duncan. Into the path of Perez. And Perez tried to cut it back into the middle. Southern Indiana again have the answer. And Duncan's hustle leads to a quick ball recovery from Lou City. Perez looking for Shawunmi. And Shawunmi has to deal with Konate, who will not let him through.
A little bit of staring down going on there between Konate and Shawunmi. We'll keep an eye on that little interaction as the game goes on. But just probing Lou City, just trying to find that little advantage somewhere in the box there. And Shawunmi's one of those players who, for me, needs to put on a good show today. He played the first half against Lexington, struggled, didn't look fully fit. And given how good Chris Donovan is, Shawunmi needs to play really well if he's going to get a call-up, perhaps to play alongside Donovan. So big match, not just for him, but for a number of players in this Lou City lineup.
To your point, Chris Donovan is among the substitutes, along with Jansen Wilson, Makwele Akale. There's plenty of attacking firepower that Simon Burke can bring on if he's not happy with what he's seeing. Oh, there's a slip. And Tola Shawunmi is in to score for Louisville. It's Tola Shawunmi's first Lou City goal. It's a bit of a gift, but Louisville will gratefully accept it and take a 1-0 lead in the Open Cup.
Amazing, isn't it? Of all the chances Lou City had, they get gifted one, and it goes back there to Sako Konate, the one who was pushing Shawamni off the ball a moment ago and eyeing him down, makes that fatal error. Shawamni just tucks that into the back of the net. Goalkeeper Ethan Drew, no chance whatsoever. And it turns out that it's something as simple as a slip that allows Lou City to take the lead.
Should make a slight amendment that it's Shawamni's first goal in his return to Louisville. Did score for Lou City a couple of times in the league back in 2024. It's his first goal in his second stint with Lou City, and it's his first goal in the Open Cup.
Well, that's a heartbreaker for Southern Indiana, because if you're going to get beat, you want it to be a great goal that the opposition score, but a slip like that, unfortunate as it was, just takes a little bit of pressure off Lou City now. They can relax a touch, keep probing, look for a second and then a third, and it's tough when you're up against it anyway, as is Josh Dickman's side, and then you go and give away a bit of an easy goal. Tough on Southern Indiana.
It's the first goal of the Simon Bird era in Louisville as well. Sure he'll be pleased with that.
Just ball headed away there in defense, Lou City. Important for the home side now, they're one up, not to sit back and think, okay, we've got this. We've got to keep being professional, keep pushing, get a second, get a third. Then, if you do get to 3 or 4-0, then you can start knocking it around. But until then, you just got to bear in mind that Southern Indiana, if they get one back at 1-1, it suddenly becomes a real difficult fight. So they want to be professional here, Lou City.
And coming together there was Ogelu, was looking for a foul. Southern Indiana continue to play on here with Kurtz. I feel these moments are going to be important for Southern Indiana. When they get the ball, what can they do with it? It's the way Louisville want to play. They don't want Southern Indiana to have a ton of the ball. Oriol brings this forward for the visitors here, and nearly skipped past Perez, who did recover it, and it ricochets to Faroux. Days for Duncan, and Duncan is fouled by Bowen McLeod. Must be a pretty proud day for the McLeod family. All three of the brothers in the midfield playing together in the Open Cup.
Yep, certainly must be. A little bit of an age difference. Elias, the oldest, at 27, Jed 25, and Bowen 21.
Late challenge comes in there from C.D. Muhammad, and he's going to be yellow carded as well.
Late tackle, and you could hear the whack over the microphones. Picks up that yellow, which is very early in the game to be on a yellow, and there's the connection after the ball's already gone. As we've said every single time it happens, the moment you're on a yellow, you have to play differently. You can't then be lunging in for tackles. You've got to be a little bit more careful, knowing that a second yellow sees you off the pitch. So your game will change now. Certainly it will do for C.D. Muhammad.
Carlos Mogel Jr. will prepare the set piece for Lou City in search of a second goal here. It's bent into a really good area. Oh, and it's nearly bundled in. It looks like it just goes out for a goal kick in the end. Louisville were asking the questions of a corner.
Could have gone anywhere, couldn't it? Off a defender or an attacker. Very good ball into a danger area. As mentioned, you know, when you get good service like that, very difficult for amateur teams to deal with the pace and the quality of those sort of balls into the box.
Very quickly, Louisville are back on the front foot. Hewerman, critical touch from Kanate, allows Ethan Drew to clear it away. It was Jed McLeod up ahead. And then Bezosa was waiting for someone to run onto that. Eventually, Southern Indiana wins a throw, despite a broken play.
Here's a chance maybe for a long throw into the box or a short one hooked into the box, but they've got to try and test Hugo Farou somehow. And any shot on target, any ball into the box for a potential header might result in a goal.
There is the cross into the middle. Adams' header. Was it handled there? Referee had a good look at that, says no. Reset for Kanate. Kanate tried to slice a ball through there. It's picked off by Perez, and then not the best clearance from Days. It goes back to the visitors. On May 31st, Charlotte, North Carolina welcomes the U.S. men's national team for the All-State Continental Classico against Senegal. Get your first look at the nation's biggest stars before they head to the FIFA World Cup this summer. The match kicks off at Bank of America Stadium, 3:30 p.m. Eastern. USsoccer.com/tickets are where you go to get your tickets today. Perez for Quincy Hewerman, who has a wand of a left boot, nearly picked out a teammate there, and it's bundled out of play for a corner.
The thing about that Hewerman effort as well is if no one touches it, it was bending into that far post as well, so it acts both as a shot and a cross. And the player's got so much potential. Simon Bird saying, I need more consistency from him. We know he's a good player with a magic strike of a ball, but we need consistency. Played the first 45 minutes against Lexington, then got subbed out. So let's see what he can do here today.
From the corner, another critical header away from Southern Indiana, playing with some fire there. Eventually rolls back out for a throw-in to Louisville. Quincy Hewerman was on that 2024 Colorado Springs Switchback side that won the championship title in the championship. As Adams clips that onto this near side, there's nobody there. And it's a turnover. At that time, Quincy Hewerman was kind of a bench depth piece on that James Chambers-led side that went all the way to win the crown over Rhode Island.
He's certainly an exciting player who can open up teams, as is Mukweli Akale. And I think they've both come in because in the playoffs, Lou City 2 years running have got knocked out in the first round because as good as they are and as amazing as they are in terms of putting pressure on you, they just didn't have anyone who could just turn on one little bit of magic in the box when needed. And certainly Akale and Hewerman could be the sort of player to sort of stand up in those moments. In fact, Akale doing that against Lexington. Came on, the 1-0 down, comes on and does a little jink in the box, dribbles, beats 2 or 3, sticks it in off the post, and Lou City were back in the match.
Hewerman tried to play it into the path of Shoanmi. He ends up hitting him and touching it out of play. The McLeod layoff on this near side. The fight continues. It's Duncan for Lou City. Now Ray Serrano. Tola Shawanmi, 2-0. Well, before tonight, he'd never scored in the Open Cup. He scored twice in the opening half an hour. And Louisville take complete control of this opening round tie. They lead 2-0.
That's better from Tola Shawanmi. We set the question. He needs to impress Simon Bird here tonight after the 45 minutes against Lexington where he struggled. Well, he's got one and this one as well. It's 22, 23 yards up, but tucked right in the corner. He knew it was on. He's headed really well, and it's got absolute precision to tuck it away there. So maybe the first goal was a bit fortunate as the defender tripped over the ball. That was a bit of quality and class from the Englishman, Tola Shawanmi.
Now, Louisville's persistence has certainly paid off in this opening half an hour. And you know that they're going to be on the prowl for more with Perez. Days assesses the scene, thinks better of going forward, finds Adams. Logan out to the far side for Sam Gleadle. Days again. Louisville really try to attack this near side flank. Hewerman whips the ball in. Oh, it was briefly fumbled by Ethan Drew, but he does recover.
Tola Shawanmi nearly with a third there. It was just a split second away from toe poking that ball that Ethan Drew dropped. A difficult one. Once again, that ball bending in. His players look like they're going to head the ball, so as a goalkeeper, not quite sure what's going to happen. And Ethan Drew needing a second attempt there to grab the ball. But problem now for Southern Indiana at 2-0 is this team are not going to stop. Lou City never do. We've seen it year after year. They hammer teams at every opportunity. They're going to keep on coming. And you just hope for Josh Dickman and his players that it doesn't turn out to be a really big score, because that's what happened to them last year. Was it 5-0 in the end against Lexington?
It was, and Shawanmi pokes this forward. Serrano runs out of room, but it is at the expense of another Louisville corner. To your point, Gary, how many times have we seen championship sides come here over the years and get 4 or 5 or maybe even 6 put up on them?
Yeah, they're ruthless. It's just been part of their DNA, Lou City. Once they get you down, they don't back off. They just keep knocking those goals in.
From the corner. Oh, it nearly went all the way in. It was cleared off the line. Gleadle tries to win the header, and Southern Indiana somehow emerge. Now can they break on this near side with Muhammad? Talked about his pace, but Days slows him down.
Ethan Drew with that corner, just flapping at the ball, doesn't get it, and one of his defenders helped him out there by clearing off the line. Again, you know, that sort of pressure is going to keep producing goals, because eventually something goes in, whether it's a set piece, a shot, errors. And that's all Lou City do. They keep probing, they keep pushing, they keep asking questions. And it's going to be a tough rest of match for Southern Indiana.
Hewerman off the takeaway. It's Duncan sliding in. Couldn't put it on target. Gleadle tracks it down. And then that pass is a bit short from Mogel, who tries to recover and was tripped in the process. Free kick for Louisville.
If you're looking at scorelines, I mean, the last match they beat Miami 4-1 here. Miami FC is a USL team, and they brought some good players into that team as well. And they were just relentless. The boys in purple kept coming and getting goals. And Aidan McFadden, Ray Serrano is playing here tonight. He scored a lovely goal as well. So, and if they bring the likes of Chris Donovan off the bench and Aquale, then things can only get tougher for Southern Indiana.
From the free kick, it was towards Shawanmi. And this is the difficult part for Southern Indiana. They get it cleared, but quickly Louisville are right back at them here, again with Hewerman. Niang for Adams. Adams again. Perez. Days into the middle. Serrano's back heel is touched out of play. Perez again. Out wide for Gleedle. Still, Sam Gleedle really knifed his way through there. Niang for Days. Perez looking for space here. Does glide past the challenge. Into the middle, Showunmi on a hat trick. Blocked. And then Niang's glancing header is back for Adams.
Wow, a lot of pressure coming in Southern Indiana. They are just chasing shadows here at the moment, and it's going to wear them out, which of course towards the end of the match will be a huge advantage for Lou City.
Serrano for Duncan. Duncan tried to find Perez. He's going to be shielded away from it by Oriwalt, and it's a goal kick.
I think the players are saying to Ethan Drew, just slow down there. Let's just catch a breather. Problem is, and you picked it out, is when they do get the ball, Southern Indiana, they knock it away, they knock it up the pitch, and it comes straight back time and time again. So for them to sort of get back in this match, they've got to control that ball, try and keep that possession, play through the lines. Of course, a lot easier said than done when Lou City are snapping at your heels.
It's touched forward towards Jed McLeod, and he cannot hang on to it. Gleedle with a loose touch. Jed McLeod out to the far side, and then, ooh, that wasn't the nicest of challenges, was it? Could be a yellow card here. Carlos Mogel does get a booking for a late challenge on that far side.
I don't think there's any doubt about that being a yellow card. Just hope it's not anything more than that. Let's have a look at it again and see if his foot's up. But I tell you what, his foot is up a little bit there, and if there was VAR, you'd be tempted to come back and look at that and decide if it was a red, but he's lucky the referee only gets a quick glance at it. We get the chance to see the slow motion, but his foot definitely was above the ground. It's a dangerous tackle there from Carlos Miguel Jr.
Salati Husseini was the recipient of that harsh challenge. Looks to be okay for now.
When you do get a set piece like this, if you're Southern Indiana, my thought would be knock it long into the box. You've got some really big units there, Seko Konate and Abdikadir as well. Get the ball up high there and challenge Hugo Faru.
Underdogs in the Open Cup, when they get set pieces, they really need to make them count. And it is hoofed into the middle. It was towards Konate, but Faru does well and plucks it out of the sky. And tries to send Louisville on their way down this near side with Quincy Hewerman. Into the path of Manny Perez. Perez into the middle. Oh, just out of the reach of Serrano. It falls for Showunmi. Showunmi lays this off for Gleedle. Niang. Perez. For Quincy Hewerman. Saved by Drew.
How good a move was that from Lou City from one end of the pitch. Great catch by Hugo Faru to start by giving him applause there under all sorts of pressure. Counter-attack, lovely movement, ends with this Quincy Hewerman effort that is well saved by young Ethan Drew. But that is classic quality Lou City from one end of the pitch to the other.
Days again with Manny Perez. About 6 minutes plus stoppage time left in the half. That slips underneath Niang. And Southern Indiana had a chance to control it, and ends up being a foul committed by Bezosa on Duncan. Duncan up ahead. And then Shawunmi is dispossessed. Drew settles it down. We did talk to head coach Josh Dickman about his journey, about what Southern Indiana's purpose is, and he said, well, we were tired of seeing players that were really good in the New Albany, Indiana area either not have a place to go train and play or not really have an opportunity to improve their game. And that's why Southern Indiana exists, because Josh Dickman said, I was one of those players. I wanted to play when I was growing up. I didn't really have that many options. In many ways, a lot of amateur sides are there so that local products have an opportunity to show themselves on these kinds of stages. And Southern Indiana is the perfect example of that.
And Josh Dickman saying that wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for the owner, Nick Hunter, out of Cincinnati, putting money up and giving these youngsters an opportunity. And that was why he came back just the start of this season. He said he left initially to be a dad. Now his two boys are grown up, he's back, and in fact both his sons, Gus and Oliver, on the bench today. So we might get to see both the Dickman lads come on and play.
And Josh Dickman was very clear that they had to earn their playing time, and he was very candid about each of his sons and their abilities as well. Gus Dickman, who's the older of the two, is actually a Lou City Academy product and won the Dallas Cup with Lou City earlier in his career. Oliver Dickman, 18 years of age, has trained with the Lexington Academy and has had some first-team training with Lexington as well. And Josh Dickman, I think he said half-jokingly that if he could combine his sons together, he'd have some player.
Yeah, he said, I think he said one of them's tall and physical, the other's a bit shorter and quick and high IQ. But it's lovely to have a family set up like that where they all love their soccer, all enjoy it, and they've got an owner in Nick Hunter who's prepared to sort of bankroll all the costs. It's just a wonderful gift to give the community.
It's stories like that which are why we love this competition, really. It's the DNA of the Open Cup in so many ways. Meanwhile, Serrano clipping it into the middle. Well, actually nearly went all the way in, then palmed away from Drew. Falls for Adams. Another close call for Southern Indiana defensively here. Not out of the woods yet. Quincy Hewerman lets the shot go. That was the wand of a left boot we were talking about. It flies wayward.
Lovely little ball chipped to the far post there, causing Southern Indiana all sorts of problems, and what should have been clear got looked straight back in the air, and Ethan drew it to come out and try and punch it clear. But, you know, 2-0 down, not the end of the world for Southern Indiana, especially when one goal was an unfortunate slip. So if that hadn't gone in, you'd be looking at 1-0 saying they're back, they're still in this game. But even at 2-0, they're putting up a decent performance. I guess you just hope they don't run out of gas in the second half, in which case then the number could start to rise very rapidly in terms of goals conceded.
Ooh, Carlos Mogel has to be careful here, already on a yellow. Makes another rash challenge there. It's just a foul. That would certainly change the game, of course.
That's a very good point, it would, and Carlos Mogel has to be careful. He's a midfielder he's being tried out at centre back. He's not tall enough to win the high balls, but he can play out of the back. That's the big advantage. But you have to tackle differently when you're a defender, coming up behind players as opposed to in the midfield. And maybe he's just getting his sights set and just getting used to this different role. But you're right, if he got a second yellow, it'd really put his team in trouble.
Manny Perez, a handful on this near side. First time ball in by Duncan. It's nudged down for Serrano, whose control is excellent. Mogel down the line for Gleadle. Sam Gleadle weaving his way through, and then could not get a firm touch on the shot, or maybe even cross attempt there. Jed McLeod does well and finds a teammate out onto this near side in Muhammad. And then not the best of tackles there from Hewerman. Free kick Southern Indiana. Kadir gives that away. Shawanmi couldn't get it past Kanate. Southern Indiana avoid another disaster moment there and nearly played themselves into another. Drew just there ahead of Shawanmi, not once but twice. And we are into 2 added minutes at the end of the half. Days kept his balance, eventually lost it, couldn't quite recover it. The pressure from Serrano leads to a takeaway. Shawanmi held back by Kanate, still slides it through for Serrano. Serrano tried to stand up the cross. Niang will run it down.
Look at the space for them to play in down that left-hand side.
Niang for Gleedle. Gleedle into the middle. Header comes out towards Perez. Further helped along by Mohammed. Pizzoza. Put this ball into an awkward area here. Ori Wall is going to be dispossessed by Serrano. Serrano's then double parked, but wins a corner with a minute left in the half.
Yeah, they had a chance to clear the ball there, didn't they? Southern Indiana knocked it straight back, put the defender under trouble, and now it's another set piece. They're becoming the architects for their own problems, Southern Indiana, and I think this break is going to come at the most needed time, just to settle down and come back out second half and just try and calm down and keep possession. That's so important for this visiting amateur side.
That'll include trying to defend this set piece, just trying to keep it at 2-0. Mogel took a big swing at it, it was blocked. And the referee's whistle brings the action to a halt. And that's going to be it, halftime here in Kentucky. 2 goals from Tola Shawanmi, his first 2 in the Open Cup. Louisville comfortably ahead at halftime.
Yeah, probably as expected by most people, but to be fair, Southern Indiana, one of the goals they conceded was a slip. So other than that, they've defended well, they've been on the back foot. Haven't really tested Hugo Ferrer much, but maybe second half, the visitors can come out and give us a bit more excitement. If they got 1, they were back in at 2-1. That would really light this Open Cup matchup.
More to come at the half here from Kentucky. It's Lou City leading Southern Indiana by 2-0 in the opening round of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. Halftime here in Louisville, Kentucky. Lou City leading Southern Indiana in the opening round of the Open Cup by 2-0 thanks to Tola Shounmi. We'll have the second half coming up in just a few moments, but first, a look back at the Open Cup final from last year between Nashville and Austin.
I think for this group, our path to the final was one of resilience. This group has this belief in themselves and this idea that we've seen it all before in this tournament. We've gone through basically every scenario that you can, and there's just this belief that we're ready to roll with whatever comes our way.
You know, for people that is more kind of romantic on football, I'm coming from a country where cup games are really, really special. And I feel the same kind of here, a young club that is building towards a club that wants to be in finals like I will be tomorrow. To have this opportunity is the one that, you want to take.
Oh man, I think Nashville SC kind of represents the best of both worlds when it comes to a team playing with togetherness, some star players that are able to give you the ooh and ahs and the crowd reaction. But more than anything, I think this team represents a market that is new to the soccer landscape in this level in the country, but at the same time, I think a lot of people can identify with our style of play and the way that our guys go about their business collectively. And we have a good group of guys that's been together for a long time and are ready to take the step to put Nashville on the map in terms of hardware.
We're a club that wanted to pursue trophies, so January 10th when we got together, it was about chasing trophies. And then you start the actual tournament, and for us it was not an easy journey. Competitive games where we had to call on everybody, and I think that's what makes this final really special, is that we really truly had contributions from the top to the bottom of the roster, and different guys stepping up at different times. And for me, that's the beauty of the competition. It's what's earned our way into the final.
Welcome in to the 110th Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup Final, as one of these two sides, Austin FC and Nashville FC, will win their first trophy in club history. For Austin FC, their 5th season in Major League Soccer. For Nashville, their 6th, with a chance to make history tonight in this Cup Final. It will be dramatic. It will be tense from minute one. Nashville FC hoping to be the first professional sports team in Tennessee to win a major trophy. Austin hoping to be the first trophy winners in their club history. The atmosphere continues to build. What a night in Central Texas. The Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup Final is underway as Austin FC hosts Nashville FC.
For Austin, Wolf delivering and headed away. Chested down there from Schaffelberg, and Mukhtar! Off the bounce! Nashville getting the opening goal in the Cup Final! Entered towards Owen Wolf, controlling neatly and played it behind towards Uzuni, who gets there, headed Schwacke! It's a penalty! Oh, here's Mito Uzuni, saved by Schwacke! Austin's chance to equalize the game denied. Ilya just about keeping into Uzuni. Uzuni! There's your response. There's your goal. He missed a penalty earlier, but gets right back in the chances. And Austin right back in the Open Cup Final. Delivering the corner, and there's a man down in the area, and it's given us a penalty. And it's those two that were getting tangled before. Here's Surridge to give Nashville the lead again. It's down the middle, and Nashville back in front. some Tori Penso. Nashville SC have won the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup, winning their first trophy in club history and the first major trophy in the history of Tennessee professional sports. What a reward for Sam Surridge and Hadi Mukhtar and every member of this Nashville SC squad and staff. They celebrate. Nashville are the 110th U.S. Open Cup champions.
Halftime here in Louisville. It is Lou City on top of Southern Indiana by 2-0. We'll have highlights, stats, and the second half kick coming up shortly here in the Open Cup. Welcome back, everybody. Sean St. Jacques, Gary Bailey, your entire crew. Happy to have you with us. Getting into the second half in just a few moments between Lou City and Southern Indiana. Louisville are 2-0 up at the half as we look back at the first half. Highlights between these two teams, just 10 miles apart over the Ohio River. And certainly, Gary, we saw plenty of Louisville pressure.
A decent cross coming in here from Manny Perez to the back stick, gets knocked down, and then Zach Duncan has an effort, just clips off the outside of the post there. Just a warning from Lou City, but they just kept the pressure up. Switch of play from Herman. Just jumps on this. I think this is Carlos Miguel here, and he has an effort that isn't too far over the crossbar.
Then here, Southern Indiana trying to play their way out. They just haven't had sustained possession. A slip. Shawunmi takes it from there.
Brutal there for Sako Konate, done so well, been physically strong at the back, but one slip gets punished by Tolu Shawunmi. Big match for him to prove that he can hit the back of the net. Didn't just do it once, he managed to do it a second time as well with a shot from the edge of the box. Here's the build-up. Racerona plays it inside, and then he hits it from 23 yards plus minus out there, right into that far corner. What a good finish from the Englishman.
His first 2 goals in the Open Cup have Louisville 2 to the good with 45 minutes to play. And the halftime stats kind of tell you how dominant Louisville was in the first half. Southern Indiana, by the way, no shots on target. They didn't have any touches in Louisville's 18-yard box in the first 45 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, they were defending the whole match. Their XG is 0.0, which I don't think I've ever seen before. But again, to be expected that they had to try and stop Lou City, and they just couldn't play their way out. Maybe that's what Josh Dickman's going to say to them at halftime, is when we get the ball, just try and keep possession. Let's try and get in good positions. When we get free kicks, bomb it in their box. You know, maybe we get lucky and we get a goal back, and suddenly it's game on. So yes, they haven't done anything first half, but they knew they were going to have to defend for most of the first half. The only question is, can they turn that and change it to a bit more attack in the second half?
I'm reminded of what Josh Dickman told us, which is that no team should sleep on Southern Indiana. There is quality in this group. You sleep on them at your own peril. The problem is, Louisville never take anyone lightly. That's their DNA. That's how they always go about their business. And just because Simon Bird is in his first game in charge doesn't mean that changes. It's in his DNA as well, and Louisville have played like it in the first 45 minutes. We're told that Louisville is making a halftime adjustment here. Zach Duncan has been withdrawn. And Sean Toch has been brought in. Talk about having experience and pedigree in your side there. Meanwhile, Jack Kramer has been brought on for Southern Indiana. Haji Abdelkadir has been withdrawn. So one sub apiece going into the start of the second half here at Lynn Family Stadium in Louisville. Again, Sean St. Jacques, Gary Bailey, your entire crew, happy to have you with us. Another jam-packed day of action in round one of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. So far, the favorites, Louisville, have been as advertised, and they'll look to put this to bed in the second half. Southern Indiana still hanging in there, just down by 2. One goal could certainly change it, but they'll have to get it sooner rather than later, or they'll have back-to-back opening round exits.
Yeah, just looking at the stats, that one stat touches in the opposition box that you brought up. 23 for Lou City, 0 for Southern Indiana. Well, you have to get into the box to score. Well, unless you're going to hit a rifle, you're going to rifle one from 25 yards up, but generally, you got to get in the box. So it hasn't happened as yet, and as we said, Josh Dickman saying to us, he knew they were going to defend first half, they were going to have to do that, but question is now, can they just make something happen, put some good passing moves together, and try and test Hugo Farou in that Lou City goal?
Gary, you mentioned this in the first half, something to keep an eye on in the second half. Can Southern Indiana stay with Louisville when it comes to just overall fitness in the second half as well? And obviously Louisville have plenty more reinforcements to turn to off the bench if Simon Bird feels it's necessary. Meanwhile, Serrano from Hewerman to elude the challenge, but was taken out of the 18-yard box. It comes back for Niang. Tola Shawunmi's on a hat trick. Oh, he nearly gets it as well. Good save by Ethan Drew. And it ricochets out for a Louisville corner on the far side.
It was a good save, wasn't it? It's a good turn and strike there. Lots of power behind that strike from Tola Shawunmi. And goalkeeper Agile just pushes it away for a corner.
A few times tonight, Louisville have played it short to Serrano, who is interested in it, but now jogs away. So an in-swinger is in the cards here. And again, it's right towards goal. This time it's nudged to the outskirts of the area here for Gleadle. And it's last off of Gleadle, it looks like. Bezosa holds firm defensively for Southern Indiana.
Interesting position for Gleadle as an attacking left fullback. Normally a striker, can play on the left-hand side, but coming from a lot deeper as a wing-back. And you know, if you can't get it, if you can't find a place in the team up front because there's too many good strikers like Chris Donovan, for example, maybe you do look elsewhere in the team to see if you can prove your worth. But I haven't been totally convinced by him in the first half. Let's see what he can do second half in this. What's been, to be fair to him, is an unusual position.
It's going to be a Louisville throw for Kyle Adams to take. There's Sean Toch. Some would put Sean Toch on a Mount Rushmore of USL Championship players all time in the modern era. The amount of appearances he's had, the trophies he's lifted, the milestones he's hit in his USL Championship career have not been matched by many, if any, players that have played during his era or before.
Just looking at the stats here, 307 appearances for Lou City over 10 seasons. And 34 goals. I mean, he's been the penalty king in between that. He's got a few from set pieces as well. But I think what it talks to him being an ultimate professional. To last that long, to be that consistent, it's because you look after your body, you train properly, you do all the right things that a professional should do. And Sean Toch is just one of the best that we've ever seen in the USL. And him going into the back four has pushed Carlos Miguel into midfield, where maybe he's a little bit more comfortable in terms of the way he tackles and the way he wins the ball, but he's still got to remember he's on a yellow.
And C.D. Muhammad, Southern Indiana, is the only other player out there on a yellow card, number 29 in white. This is Kyle Adams. I scored a long-distance wonder strike in the Open Cup before for the now defunct San Diego Loyal a few years back. Toch. Hewerman. Perez blocked. And it's another Lou City corner.
This is a 5-5 corner kick.
At times, Louisville just at will have been playing their way through.
A lot of purple shirts in that box just around the goalkeeper. Look at that, about 6 or 7 players just in and around Ethan Drew's area.
Southern Indiana, from a very similar moment in the first half, had to get a goal line clearance away. Put it right into the middle again. This time it's headed away. Now for a Louisville throw. It's Jack Kramer defensively for the visitors there. Well, that's given away poorly by Louisville here. Bezosa. It's dinked over the top, and as soon as I say that, it's given right back to Lou City. That's pretty much been the story of the evening so far.
I think that's often a difference between professional and amateur sides, is the ability to keep the ball under pressure, to pass it, to move, give and go.
Perez into the middle. It was towards Shawanmi on the hat trick. Falls kindly for Ethan Drew.
Again, they're happy to try and play out of the back, Southern Indiana, give them credit, and with that they knock a long one forward, but they have tried to play through the lines. They're just trying different ways in which to get possession, and this long ball has worked. Clearance from Hugo Farou, and it's a throw-in for Southern Indiana. Perhaps they have to go long more often. Maybe that's their only way. To play through a Lou City midfield is very, very difficult to do, and they see it time and time again when they get dispossessed, Southern Indiana. But to play it long over the top and then try and pick up the pieces, that might be a good alternative strategy.
Kyle Adams. Ooh, Sam Gleadle. He's tripped and fouled on this near side by Kramer. Free kick for Louisville.
More trouble for Southern Indiana. Kyle Adams has gone in there. You know they're going to try and find him. Tola Shawamni, another good target possibility. It's at this sort of angle where you can bend the ball in towards the keeper. And that's difficult for Ethan Drew because you're not sure if someone's going to head it or if the ball's going to keep on going and then end up at the back of your net. So only one player in his wall, Ethan Drew. Normally you have 2 or 3, so he's got to watch his near post as well in case it's a shot.
Mogel to take. And he does shoot. And Ethan Drew makes the catch.
Well done, the 19-year-old goalkeeper. Not easy for him. Neither goal's been his fault. One a centre-back slipping and the other one a great strike from Tola Shawamni from the edge of the box. So the goalkeeper so far has done what he's been asked to do.
Heavy collision there. Hewerman tried to get back up. Oh, and who's the yellow card for here? Because remember, Muhammad's already been booked.
I think it's Quincy Hewerman who's got that.
Looks like it.
Southern Indiana FC team substitution entering the match. Number 11, Corey Thomas.
Southern Indiana is going to bring in Corey Thomas.
Substitution brought to you by the Kentucky Lottery.
On a substitution here, and I believe it's going to be Bay Kurtz, who is going to make way. Corey Thomas is an Indiana University product, the Hoosiers. It's a wonderful collegiate soccer program, maybe one of the best in the country consistently. Trying to come on and provide a spark for Josh Dickman's group.
Probably start to see quite a few players coming on for Southern Indiana as their legs begin to tire. They've got Jake Calderbank on the bench, Finnegan Riley, the two Dickman brothers, Gus and Oliver, and Koto Umeda, a 6'2" Japanese player, who the coach described as unusually tall for the Japanese, but a very, very good technical player.
I think Josh Dickman's descriptions of his players might have been one of my favorite parts of our conversation with him.
Of course, when it comes to subs for Lou City, well, they've got a whole bench of quality there. Chris Donovan, Mukwele Akali, Jake Morris, Jansen Wilson, Evan Davila. So we'll probably start to see some changes, maybe another 10-15 minutes yet before Simon Bird feels it's necessary to have any fresh legs.
A little bit of extracurriculars have broken out here on the edge of the penalty area. Looks like it's Sean Toach getting involved with Jack Kramer, at least initially. The referee was just sitting this out, waiting to see if anyone did something that was worthy of a card. Actually, it looks like it's Kramer and Adams who have been summoned for a timeout.
A referee handling it very well, having a conversation and saying, gentlemen, this is not how we're going to play this game. You got a warning. If either of you steps out of line now, then there's going to be a card.
Oriwol will take the free kick for Southern Indiana. It's pretty well placed. It's nudged to the edge of the area here. And the shot is blocked on the edge of the 18-yard box. It looks like it'll deflect out for a corner.
I think it was Sean Tosh for the header, and if it was, that's just typical Sean Tosh under all sorts of pressure. There he is, gets up, wins it bravely. That was a good ball in the box, and it certainly asked some questions of that Lou City defense.
The follow-up shot from Alan Bezosa deflects out for a Southern Indiana corner.
Lots of pushing and shoving going on Hugo Faru there.
Goes right towards that area. Tosh is there again with the header. Took back for Bezosa to fully reset to Ethan Drew. Drew then tries to smash it up ahead. Louisville wins the ball back. Manny Perez down the far side. Tried to slither it through for Shawunmi. It was off the target. Jed McLeod. To this near side, and Kramer. And then a miscued touch by Serrano, who then gets shoved to the ground on this near side. Well, Kramer's getting involved with a few Lou City players here. Wasn't what I meant by spark when he came on, but he's clearly trying to light a fire underneath his teammates here.
Well, again, to the point that at 2-0, if they score one, Southern Indiana, they're right back in this. And yes, it's been all Lou City, and Southern Indiana have had to defend, but 2-0 down means they're not out of this match as yet, but they do need to get down the other end and score a goal.
Meanwhile, Shawunmi on a hat trick. It's been a handful for them to deal with. Shawunmi into the middle. It's a backheel clearance away and then further helped along. And then Toach recovers it for a Lou City recycle. Here's Adams probing. Gets it back from Gleadle. Now Serrano. And Gleadle. And was Gleadle fouled? Yes, he was pulled down. And that's a free kick on the near side.
Both the players have come on, number 11, Corey Thomas, and 13, Jack Kramer, have come on and caused problems and given away free kicks, and maybe with a signal from Josh Dickman, get in there and, as you said, you know, ruffle a few feathers.
Ogel. Serrano serving it. Perez's header deflects down, and Drew reacts quickly enough to catch it. One of the greatest rivalries in women's international soccer is coming to Seattle. The U.S. women's national team returns to Lumen Field for the first time in nearly a decade. They'll face Japan on Tuesday, April 14th. World Cup finals, Olympic thrillers, iconic moments. The rivalry has seen it all. And it's now coming to the Pacific Northwest. Get your tickets today at ussoccer.com/tickets. Now we're gone here in Kentucky. Both the goals from Tola Showunmi have Louisville on the verge of booking yet another place in the second round of the Open Cup. We'll get onto this near side. It's Sam Gleadle. Gleadle trying to get past that initial defender here, just weaving his way into the area and nearly slipped it all the way through. An awkward touch from Kanate, but Drew clears it away.
And they're threatening a third goal, aren't they, Lou City, but just can't seem to get on that final touch, that final bit of quality in the box. And again, if you'd have said to Josh Dickman and the Southern Indiana team that 2/3 of the match in,
Showunmi just about beaten to it by Kanate and then Drew.
At 2/3 of the way in the match, they'd be 2-0 down. They would go, well, maybe we'd take that because it means we can get back in this match. They knew they were going to have to defend, and they're still in with a shout, but they have to do more going forward. Maybe now's their chance.
That's a foul. McLeod, Jed McLeod, to be precise, brought down by Days. That's a free kick for Southern Indiana that they can work with here. Well, the referee says that Southern Indiana went a bit prematurely there. Both teams are getting changes ready, by the way. And now they are happening, at least for Louisville. Triple change. Jansen Wilson, Evan Davila, Mukwele Akale, all coming in one foul swoop. Manny Perez, Brandon Days, Ray Serrano, all exiting for Lou City. That leaves Simon Bird with just one change left, and he just brought on some heavy hitters for the hosts here. Jansen Wilson and Mukwele Akale have both already scored in the championship this season. It did look like Southern Indiana were preparing a couple of changes. We may come back to that later, as there's another bit of an coming together away from the play there. Nothing too wild. As Jed McLeod lifts this into the middle. It's chested high into the air, and then the shot doesn't quite come. Oh, and then the follow-up attempt from Corey Thomas is wide. That is Southern Indiana's first shot of any kind tonight.
That was a good little half chance there from Corey Thomas. He had time on the edge of the box, settled himself, and just didn't follow through nice and straight.
Josh Dickman makes two more changes here. Jake Calderbank and his son, Gus Dickman, are both coming in. Bowen McLeod and Alan Bezoza are going to make way. So Josh Dickman has one change left. I'm sure he's a proud father at the moment that he's able to put his son in the Open Cup.
And he'd been even happier father if his son scores a goal. That'll really sort of light under this.
There's time left.
Match.
We will see. 26 minutes plus stoppages left, although I must say Louisville just brought on some of those big-time players in the attack, most notably Wilson and Akale, as Simon Bird tries to slam the door shut here on the amateurs. Not the best clearance from Ethan Drew. It's out for a Louisville throw pretty high up the field on this near side. Here is Shawunmi. Looked like that was last off Kanate, at least initially. And it is going to be a Louisville corner. Can Louisville find a third goal that would essentially put this game to bed? From the corner, it's a good header away from Kanate. That's what he's in there for. But Southern Indiana cannot put the pieces together in the transitional move, and it's right back to Lou City. Evan Davila for Sam Gleedle. Slip through for Makwele. Akale tried to find Niang in the middle. Southern Indiana get it away, but at the expense of another Louisville throw.
Kwale coming on with his sharp skills and quick play. Jansen Wilson as well. Their attacking players have come in full of energy and possibility here.
Quincy Hewerman. Tola Shawunmi to Wilson. And again, Southern Indiana do just about enough with Kanate there defensively. Another Louisville corner as again the pressure continues to mount.
Well, Kanate's made a whole bunch of great tackles. Unfortunately, that one slip gave Tola Shawunmi comfortable opening goal, but other than that, he has been massive at the back.
Well, you hinted at it. I mean, that's a big difference in the game right now. 1-0 versus 2-0 in the grand scheme of things. Louisville from the corner, another towering header away. Falls for Davila, who sends it well wide of the intended target.
I'm just wondering what the Lou City fans think of their team this year, because a lot of big-name players have left in the off-season, the likes of Brian Omby, legendary player, Philip Goodwin, and of course Arturo Ordonez went to Lexington. Damian Lass left as well, and new players have come in, Chris Donovan being one of the most exciting, but we're watching here Makwele Akale and Quincy Hewerman amongst the new players coming in, so it is a changing of the guard in some aspects for Lou City.
That's a cross into the middle. Oh, it was right across the face of goal and needed a touch. Well, that's how quickly things can change. We've barely seen this from Southern Indiana. They nearly manufactured a route back into the game.
Lovely ball in, perfect, and near post run. Hugo Farou just had to go to the near post, but wasn't quite sure if there's going to be a flick on or not. Misses the ball. If there was another white shirt in the middle, it would be 2-1. And again, they said they were going to have to defend for most of the game, but maybe now they feel, you know what, we've defended, we've taken what they've thrown at us, maybe we can do something going forward. And wouldn't that be an incredible end to the game if they could get one back, and for an amateur side to come back against Lou City. Bear in mind, Miami beaten 4-1 here on the weekend, and that's a top USL side. So 2-0 at this stage with 20 minutes, just over 20 minutes to go. Not a bad position for Southern Indiana to be in if they can start creating one or two chances.
And that chance, just a reminder that this game is not over yet. There's still a route back into the game. Niang. Shawunmi was double booked there. Davila out wide for Toch. Davila again. Niang. Niang for Wilson. Out of play.
The idea was good, but when you put that sort of ball through, you've got to put a bit of backspin on, because as soon as it hit the ground, it just shot away from Jansen Wilson. The idea is good to try and get behind the defense of Southern Indiana. Now this is also where the tired legs might come in for the visiting side, the amateur side, who don't get to train as much. And to be fair, they've actually opted out of the spring season in the UPSL. They're only going to play in the fall season, so they're probably not going to be anywhere near as fit as Lou City, which means the last 20 minutes could see some tired legs in white. And we'll keep an eye on that.
Well, the visitors were asking for a handball there. Referee didn't see the same thing they did. And on the near side, Kanate using his strength, but it's an inaccurate pass, and Louisville win it back with 20 minutes of normal time left. Human trying to track this down. And eventually it's going to be a free kick for Southern Indiana. I was waiting for the assistant or the head referee to make a decision there.
I think Quincy Human annoyed because he said he did nothing, but he's on a yellow. Even if he did nothing, don't be remonstrating with the referee or the assistant ref.
There is Kramer, who's also treaded on the line of getting a card tonight. Evan Davila. For Quincy Huerman, out wide. Cross into the middle. Oh, it hits off the top of the crossbar and falls for Gleedle. But did it go out of play? The referee says it did. It did, beg your pardon. The assistant referee's flag went up. It went out and then landed on the top of the frame and nearly led to a Lou City chance.
They're still probing, aren't they, the boys in purple? Just trying to get something going. Just wonder if Chris Donovan would be a good option at the end. But you know, at 2-0, I'm sure Simon Bird feels they're relatively safe. If it got to 2-1, then he might think of bringing on Chris Donovan, because there's been a lot of high balls knocked into the box, which would be bread and butter for the big new number 9 for Lou City.
We asked Simon Bird about Chris Donovan. He said, well, you could see why he was number 1 on our priorities list signed during the offseason based on his early returns in the USL Championship. Hard to argue with that. And that's going to be a foul against Louisville. That puts Southern Indiana in another position here to attack from a set piece.
There goes big Saka Konate, number 52, heading up into the box. And this is where they can be dangerous. Free kick just lobbed in there, and see if you can get a knockdown or a little bit of luck. Maybe it forced one of your players, and then at 2-1, it really is game on.
Can the amateurs manufacture a pathway back into this Open Cup tie? It's a good delivery towards Kanate, who ends up colliding with his own teammate. Husseini went up for the same ball. Neither could put it on target.
Wow. It was just the two of them in the end. There was no Lou City player around, and it was Saladi Husseini who seemed to be in the better position, and Sako Konate hits him from behind and puts him off. That really was the first big chance for Southern Indiana.
Well, Southern Indiana are getting more and more chances as this game continues on. And the scoreline remains unchanged, but the momentum has slightly shifted. Here is Gleedle. Akale. And down the line, Mogel to Gleedle. Gleedle stands it up. Header towards the edge of the area. It's flicked on. Falls for Quincy Huerman. Jansen Wilson, it took a deflection. And again, Louisville will get a set piece. Kwele Akale trots over to take the corner for Louisville. Kwele Akale was right on the edge again on the goal line. Toch was closest to it for Louisville, was cleared away. Only as far as Quincy Hewerman, who's going to run out of room on the byline. It's a goal kick with 15 minutes left. And Louisville are going to make their last change of the night. Might not have been who we would have thought. It's going to be Jake Morris coming in here. And that'll be the end of the night for Kyle Adams. So another defensive shift for Simon Bird.
He probably feels at this stage he wants everyone to get a run around. Jake Morris gets a chance to go out there and get a few minutes under his belt. Probably thinking for the weekend's game against Rhode Island and other matches coming up. So he's just managing the minutes. Probably feels fairly comfortable at 2-0 with the scoreline and the players he has on the pitch that they will go on to win this match. Hence he's probably not worried about the result as much as just getting the minutes in. But I think most Lou City fans will feel a little bit more comfortable with the third goal.
Here is Jake Morris, who's certainly capable of providing an attacking spark for Louisville. He finds Gleedle here. Another great defensive move from Kanate to get a touch onto that. It's a Southern Indiana throw. Lovely run through here by Oriwal. But then he cannot find a teammate as it's going to fall for Hugo Faru. One Open Cup game is finished already. Chattanooga winning 2-1 over Ranji Profile. They were 1-0 down in that game, by the way, inside of 15 minutes. But the MLS Next Pro side comes back to win at home. And there are a couple of teams in some danger. Asheville City leads Greenville Triumph of USL League One by 2-1 at the moment. And Charleston Battery, we're told, needed a late goal to take the lead in their game. So they lead 2-1 at home against Badgers. So a couple of teams that were favored are certainly being tested tonight in the Open Cup, as Akale is tripped up here and Louisville get a free kick.
Yeah, Lou City just closing down the game now. You get the sense they want to control the ball. Jake Morris has come on and had an immediate influence in terms of moving the ball around. Winning free kicks like this, you know, you're 2-0 up. Your job as the professional side with just over 10 minutes left is keep it at 2-0. Let's wrap this up. If we can get a third, fantastic. But that's how I would expect Lou City to play out these last 10 minutes or so. Just try and keep possession and keep play in Southern Indiana's half of the pitch.
Evan Davila goes for goal and bends it wide of the target. Thomas did pretty well there. Southern Indiana. Helped along by Elias McLeod. For Husseini. Kanate. Some pressure invited here. Akale. And that pressure leads to a giveaway. And Louisville are back on it. Davila. Niang. Jansen Wilson. Out of Niang's reach. Now can Southern Indiana break forward here? Nope, they give it right back. Sam Gleedle gets it back from Wilson. Sam Gleedle.
Just claps his hands there. Sam Gleadler's got to do better. He's a good striker, and he's playing out wide. He's cut inside. Now here's the advantage of being a striker playing wide. You can either be a good crosser of the ball, but if you're allowed to cut inside and you get a chance to shoot, hit target, make the goalkeeper work. As a young 19-year-old Ethan Drew hasn't really been tested that much this game. A lot of stuff going on around him, but he personally hasn't had a lot of saves to make, which I think will frustrate Simon Bird. That's another example there of where you've got to play with the talent, Sam Gleadle, to hit the target and then doesn't provide that little bit of quality.
Well, I must admit, when we saw Sam Gleadle in that position, when the team sheet came out, we looked at each other for a moment. But Louisville did write in their notes for the match that Sam Gleadle has played there before in his career. Here is Akale. Such a great run with New Mexico United. Got to the Western Conference Final last season under Dennis Sanchez. Davila tried to thread the needle there, not quite. Back out for Jake Morris.
All the time they're dominating Lou City, of course, doesn't give Southern Indiana a chance to go forward. And that's the difficulty, and they've got the tired legs now. The last 10 minutes, we felt they would be really difficult for the visiting side. Not as fit as Lou City. And it's beginning to show now. They can't get out of their own half.
Niang or Shawanmi, who is fouled.
He's had that one brilliant moment, hasn't he, Shawanmi? The second goal. The first one was an unfortunate slip by Sako Konate, which was punished by Shawanmi, but the second was a little bit of quality, and that's that quality that separates the two teams at this moment.
Gleadle again for Niang. Davila. Wilson. It's going to go out for a corner for Louisville on the far side. Huerman's going to come to take this short for Lou City. Back to Mukwele Akale. Jansen Wilson. And that will go out for a goal kick. Well, the U.S. women's national team will conclude its three-match series against Japan Friday, April 17th in Commerce City, Colorado, featuring the last two She Believes Cup champions. Top 10 matchup takes place on a special Hello Kitty-themed night at Dick's Sporting Goods Park, so secure your tickets at ussoccer.com/tickets.
Just going back to that corner that Lou City had, that's been their 14th corner of the match, just one for Southern Indiana. I would have thought 14 set pieces, given the likes, you know, of good headers of the ball in the box. Sean Tosh, when he was, you know, since he's come on, and Kyle Adams before he went off, these are all great headers of the ball. 14 corners. I would have expected something from that, from a team who pride themselves on being good at set pieces. Having said that, let's look at the other way and say, well done, Southern Indiana.
Yeah,
certainly big Sako Konate at the back won a load of those headers, and maybe they've just defended really well from those set pieces.
A lovely link-up play here amongst the Lou City players. Mukwele Akale helped to start the move. Little back heel, doesn't get to Gleadle. But Niang keeps Lou City on it. Gleadle into the middle. Tried to find Shawanmi. Header by Konate, given back to Jake Morris here. And then Morris loses out as well. One back by Corey Thomas. Then Akale. Again, Akale couldn't do enough with it after nearly winning it back cleanly. And Southern Indiana can stretch their legs on this far side. This is Sidi Muhammad. Muhammad tried to find Jed McLeod, who was covered in the end. And it's a poor ball by Quincy Heumann, one back by Elias McLeod. And McLeod cannot pick the pass up here. And then there was a challenge that came in there. Southern Indiana thought that should have been a foul. Referee disagrees. Play continues. Heumann for Wilson. 5 minutes of normal time left in Kentucky. Davila. For a while, Lou City been threatening to polish this off. Heumann. Davila from Wilson. Davila again, just too firm of a pass.
Again, Lou City knocking it around, saying, you know what, we're 2-0 up. There's 5 minutes to go in a cup match. No one asks you how you got to the next round, whether it's 2-0, 5-0, whatever. So 2-0 will do the job. Almost saying to Southern Indiana, if you want to change it, come out and take the ball off us, which they haven't been able to do much of. But certainly a better second half for the visiting side. They have had the few more moments, certainly asked 1 or 2 questions of Hugo Faru in goals.
Southern Indiana are going to make their last change of the night. Josh Dickman gets to bring on Oliver Dickman, his other son, the 18-year-old. He's trained with the Lexington SC Academy. He'll replace Jed McLeod. A proud moment for the Dickman family and for the McLeod family. 3 of each of them involved in the same match. That is a giveaway here. Muhammad plays this up ahead. It's a good challenge by Toch. Muhammad, though, keeps it alive for Southern Indiana, only for a split second, as Gus Dickman's ball back towards him is well out of play.
Well, shouts coming from the bench, I think, just to say to the Lou City players, don't slack off now, keep it tight. And from the Southern Indiana bench, keep on going. It's, you know, let's have more of the same. Try and catch them on the counter attack. You can do it.
There's been those glimmers in this second half for Southern Indiana. As we hinted at earlier, they just haven't really fully been able to take advantage of certain situations when they've been on the ball, and they've rarely been on the ball, frankly, particularly in the first half.
Well, their expected goal is 0.05, which for an entire match is very low. But again, to be expected. They knew they were going to be defending for most of the match, and they've defended really, really well. 18 shots for the home side, just 2 for Southern Indiana. And they've touched the ball twice in the opposition box. 35 times Lou City have touched the ball in the opposition box. So the stats show you it has been a one-sided game, but the scoreline suggests that Southern Indiana have put up a really good fight here today.
Showanmi lays it off, and then is not on the same page with Akale, who tried to play it back towards him. And it's a goal kick. A minute and a half of the 90 plus stoppage time to go. Up ahead again, Makwele Akale. Lovely push past the defender, and that's going to be a foul. Free kick, yellow card for Jack Kramer.
The referee has issued an Alpha Energy yellow card on Southern Indiana's number 13, Jack Kramer.
Jack Kramer nearly talked himself into a yellow card earlier. Picks one up here on the foul.
A tricky player, Makwele, isn't it? It's the hand coming out. It's not the trip or anything. It's the hand, the deliberate professional foul that picks up the yellow card.
been told there's going to be 3 added minutes of stoppage time at the end of the 90 here. Can Louisville put a cherry on top of an opening round Sunday here? Mogel and Akale stand over. It looks like Mogel is poised to strike this. And he did strike it, but he put too much on it.
That final quality from Lou City hasn't been there today. Again, the first goal was a gift, a little trip by Sako Konate. So other than the one good goal scored by Tolo Shawamni, there hasn't been a lot of other quality shots like that where I expect to see them on target from players who are normally very, very good around the box. Sam Gleedle's had a shot or two that's gone drifting. Akale's had a few passes there that haven't found their intended recipient. And I'm sure there's a few others. We mentioned Carlos Mogel there with his shot. Just hasn't been that final quality that I'm sure Simon Bird will want when they come up against USL opposition.
Southern Indiana are trying to force their way through here. On this near side, it's Muhammad, who gets a cross into the middle here, but Toch is there to clear, not quite definitively yet. And then there's a trip on the back end here. Akale trips Muhammad, and Southern Indiana get a free kick, and it's in a good spot.
That's in a very, very good spot for a ball whipped in that's going to cause Hugo Ferrou some problems there. Looks like Oriwal's going to take it, and he can bend it in with his left foot. So they have 2 in the wall just to make sure nothing sneaks in that near post of Hugo Ferrou's, but this is an important moment.
If this goes in, there might just be enough time left for Southern Indiana. Only just. 2 in the Louisville wall. It is a shot! Ooh! Wasn't far away. Did Ferrou get a touch onto that? No, says the referee. Goal kick. That wasn't a million miles away.
No, it wasn't. It's a lovely strike. Just a little bit too much. You could see it clearly going over the bar from Oriwal. And they've had their moments, not many, Southern Indiana, but they've had them. And I think huge credit to them and their coach, Josh Dickman, as we sort of get close to the end of this match. 2-0 is not a disgraceful result away from home at the team that finished top of the entire standings of the USL last year.
I remember Southern Indiana lost to Lexington 5-0 in the Open Cup last year. Certainly an improvement on that, if anything. As Konate just is going after everybody here, trying to maneuver his way through, and does well. Continued forward by Calderbank. Southern Indiana might have something on here. It's played up ahead for Dickman and held up by Thomas. Gus Dickman here. That's a tame effort. And Ferrou is there for Louisville. Well, they really tried to muscle their way through Southern Indiana there, but no end product. Well, we hinted at it earlier. Rhode Island come to Louisville at the weekend, and a trip to Brooklyn for Lou City after that, and then Charleston come to Lynn Family Stadium to begin play in April. As Louisville will get a free kick. This will likely be the last act of the night. Jansen Wilson and Makwele Akale talking over this, as Louisville are just about home and dry here. Louisville will certainly be a team to watch in the rounds to come, as Jansen Wilson bends it just wide. And that's full time in Kentucky. The Simon Bird era begins with a win for Lou City. They beat Southern Indiana by 2-0. Tola Shawunmi scores both of them. A little bit of extracurriculars after the full-time whistle here. Southern Indiana were much better in the second half. Too much quality, too much possession, too much Louisville in the end.
Yeah, it's a good win for Simon Bird. They could have been better in attack, but I think you have to give huge credit to Southern Indiana for keeping themselves in this battle right up until the end. 2-0 is not a disgraceful result away from home, and but for that one slip by Sako Konate, it could have been a lot closer. But in the end, they got what they want, Lou City. They're through to the next round, kept a clean sheet, and Simon Bird is off to a winning start.
Lou City will be a team to keep an eye on as the Open Cup rounds come thick and fast. And luckily, the little bit of extracurriculars has given way to some good sportsmanship at the end between two, now, you could argue maybe local rivals, just 10 miles apart, just over the Ohio River, Southern Indiana and Louisville City. Ken, Sean St. Jacques, Gary Bailey here with you, wrapping things up. We'll go through full-time highlights between Louisville City and Southern Indiana at the end of what was, in the end, a pretty physical game at times, but Louisville really had the majority of the possession, the majority of the chances in this game as well. And we get a chance to recap the 90 minutes for you here. Again, Louisville had it early and often, and we're creating chances early and often.
Yeah, lovely ball, just knocked up the top here, and Zach Duncan comes in, strikes, hits the outside of the post. And early on, Lou City putting Southern Indiana under all sorts of pressure. Long ball, not cleared properly. Carlos Miguel just nips in here, whacks this one, literally a yard only over the ball. That was flying, but here comes the error from Sako Konate, who otherwise had a fantastic match. Tries to move inside, slips. Tola Shawamna says, thank you very much for the gift, 1-0. And that really sort of put Southern Indiana on the back foot. And an unfortunate little error there from Sako Konate.
That was in the 20th minute, so Southern Indiana kept Louisville off the scoreboard for a while. Then the goal came and Louisville just kept on coming.
Tola Shawamna again, not closed down tightly enough, and just takes that shot from 23 or so yards out. It's a good finish. It's the one big quality moment for me from this match. A lot of huffing and puffing by Lou City. They couldn't get a third goal, but that was a touch of class.
That was in the 30th minute, and that was pretty much that. Louisville wins it by 2-0. Look at the scores from the other games going on at the moment. How about Asheville City? 3-1 over Greenville Triumph. That's a cup set right there. Charleston survived the Florida Badgers by 2-1. Hartford and Naples leading as well. One Knox were down in that game, by the way, against Vistula Garfield FC. They're now 2-1 up at the moment as well. Looks like that one's just about going through as well. Union Omaha, they were on the road tonight. They're 3-0 up. Tulsa, 2-0 up as well. And San Antonio at home are 1-0 up on top of all that. Some games to look at for later. The Burrito Boys of El Farolito, they're always fun to watch. They take on Sac Republic. AV Alta against Valley 559 FC. Dennis Sanchez, we talked about him a little bit during the broadcast. New Mexico United are in action. Spokane Velocity also on the road tonight. Maybe a potential cup set there. Orange County against Laguna United FC. And then, of course, Gary would do it all again with a fresh slate tomorrow.
Yeah, it's so exciting because you just don't know what's going to happen. And, yeah, those players in white there, Southern Indiana, you put up a good fight today. You defended well. Deserve some applause. Well done, guys. But for Lou City, you're through to the next round, and that's what counts.
Perfect start to the Simon Bird era in Louisville. It is a 2-0 victory for Louisville City. They march on to round 2 of the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup. Spare a thought for Southern Indiana. They showed better in the second half. And for Gary Bailey and our entire crew, I'm Sean St. Jacques. We say so long from Kentucky as Lou City is in the second round of the Open Cup.